Hi.
Hi, how are you? It's good to see you again.
How began this history of this brewery?
Well, the brewery started as a small brew pub just down in town, about 1 mile away in Boonville. And we were started 25 years ago in 1987. And since then, we have grown so much, we left the brew pub and moved down to this piece of property, which is 28 acres.
This is the store.
Yeah, this is our very first brewery, and we still use it to do our R&D, research and development, experimental beers. And inside the building, we operate the larger brewery for all our production beers.
Which different kinds of styles do you make here?
Well, we started off making ales and porters and stouts, mostly English-style beers. And that's what the craft brewing movement started with in America. It was the easiest to do, I think, because of the fermentation style. But now we produce not only the ales and the stouts, we make 2 different lagers, a Pilsner and a dark Mexican-style lager. We make Belgian-style beers. We have a double, a triple. We are now making barrel-aged beers. I'll show you the barrel room. And you'll notice we have a female brewer, which is unusual in America. Most of the brewers are men. There aren't very many women brewers in the U.S. We're very lucky to have Acacia here. She's very good.
The sensitive of woman, it's different like the man, I suppose.
Yeah, it's different, and I think that her perspective from a beer drinking, so when we design beers or we talk about beer, it's nice to have a different perspective. And I think in the early days of craft brewing here in the U.S., we didn't pay enough attention to the ladies drinking.
Okay.
And I think that was a bad move. And I think we are paying more attention now, and I think that's a good move.
Yeah, good. Good for you.
Good for us, and good for, half the people in the world are women. So if you exclude them...
Yeah. Now, you lose.
Right, exactly.
Can we saw a different moment of the elaboration today?
Oh, yeah. We'll show you the whole brewery and the brewing process and a little bit of the valley, and then we'll taste some beers.
Okay, come on.
Okay, let's go.
Well, I see the world before. Yeah, I don't need no fool. Pussyfooting around my woman.
Continue the tour.
One of the nice things about our valley is you can see how very beautiful, and we have the rolling hills and oak trees on one side and the redwood trees on the other, and we like to get that into our beer. And another thing that I like to show folks up here is our solar powered brewery. We have about 800 solar panels that help produce about 40% of the electricity for our brewery.
Ecologic.
Yeah, we're trying to be as ecological as we can. We know
Life is better.
yeah, less impact on the environment. So we installed the solar panels, and we have about 800, and we do a lot of other programs to recycle our waste, and I'll show you those later.
What happened here?
So this is the brew house. This is our larger brew house. It's a 100-barrel system, 31 U.S. gallons in a barrel, and it is a 4-vessel brewery. And these tanks came out of 2 breweries in Germany. The breweries were going out of business in the mid-1990s, and the owner read about it and called them on the phone and said, "What will you be doing with your equipment?" They said, "Nobody wants the equipment," because in the rest of the world at that time, this size brewery is too small. So nobody wanted them. So we got a very good deal. They were built in the early 1960s, and all the copper work here is done by hand. So all this was hammered out and all done by hand.
Artesanal.
Yeah, and no one does that kind of work anymore.
Okay.
So we're very fortunate to have it.
This is the control of those?
Yes, this is the control panel up here. Most of it is controlled up here by this Allen Bradley computer system. You can see each vessel has a place, and we can go to that vessel and control everything from here. Acacia, you know you're going to be on TV now in South America.
A woman do this. God.
So I was telling you earlier that we take the grain and we crack it open.
Okay.
And we make a porridge-like mixture. And that all takes place, up here.
Okay.
This is called the mash tun, and that porridge-like mixture is called mash.
Uh-huh.
So the enzymes that are naturally in the malt break down the long-chain carbohydrate or starch molecules into simple sugar.
Time is drawing near. Well, load up your guns, it's time to fight. Just don't matter who's wrong or right. Load up your guns, get a man in your sights.
Okay, what happened here?
Well, after we have finished in the brew house and we've extracted the sugar from the grain, we then boil the liquid, it's called wort, and we'll add hops. And we extract the bitterness by boiling. And after this stage, we'll go into fermentation. Microorganism, they will eat the sugar, they'll produce carbon dioxide, it will produce alcohol, which makes beer fun,
Yeah.
and it will produce some flavor components.
Made a different style.
Right, yeah. So at this brewery, we use 4 different yeast. We use a house yeast for our pale ale and our IPA. We use a strong ale yeast for our bigger beers, like the double IPA, the barley wine.
Yeah.
And then we have a Belgian yeast, which we use for our Belgian style, and a lager yeast.
Since the day we were born, was the daddy died, shot and killed in the story, too many pages torn. You ain't gonna run, you ain't gonna go down alone.
So this is where fermentation takes place, and we add the yeast here, and it produces a lot of extra carbon dioxide. So if you look down here, we'll go down there and take a look. If you look in here, you can see the extra carbon dioxide that we don't want is bubbling off. It's all coming from fermentation, bubbling off. So when the amount of sugar gets down to a certain point, what we'll do is we'll close this valve and we'll stop the excess from bubbling off. And then that gas that is still being produced will be forced back into the beer and carbonate the beer. So after beer is fermented, all the yeast will start to clump together and it'll drop out. And that's why each of the fermentation tanks has a cone bottom, so the yeast will drop down and we can pull it off the bottom and reuse it in the next batch of beer. After that, we'll filter the beer. And this is Scott, he's our filter expert. He is filtering the beer, and we will filter out all the yeast and a lot of the larger protein that would make beer hazy. So we filter the beer, and then goes into one of these other tanks, and that's called a bright beer tank. And in the bright beer tank, the beer sits and ages for anywhere from 2 days to about 2 weeks.
Stay there.
Yeah. And
stay there. Okay. And then
after that, we come
drink.
over. No,
not yet.
Well, after the beer is aged properly and the carbonation is just right, we will package the beer.
Okay.
Now, you guys are here on a very auspicious day. This is our old filling machine. It is the last day it's running.
Es el último día que funciona esta máquina y tenemos el lujo de poder verla trabajar.
Tomorrow, we have a brand new machine outside that comes inside. Very exciting. So this is the last day we're going to run that bottle machine.
El último día de esta máquina. can't believe the smell.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? So this is the room where we age all of our bourbon barrel stout. We get all our bourbon barrels from Wild Turkey Distillery in Kentucky, and we put the stout, our oatmeal stout, inside, and we age it for 3 months, and then we bottle it. And we have about 450 barrels in production, and after we have used them 3 times, we use 2 times for the stout, and then we use 1 time we make a product with our burnt amber in the third use barrels.
Okay.
And after the third use, we take them and we make sour beer in them.
And then
Oh yeah, we're drinking. Yeah, we'll be drinking a lot.
and one of the stars of the beers, hops.
Yes, the hops. We grow about 2 acres of our own hops. This is one of our small fields, and you can see these hops are just about ready. We'll probably brew with these in a couple weeks.
Okay.
And hops are funny. These just starting to come out. So what we'll probably do this year, instead of doing 1 big batch like we did last year, we'll do 2, 3, maybe 4 small batches.
Oh.
So we'll use these ones first, and then maybe in a few months later, yeah. Well,
You have,
they usually from August to maybe October.
okay,
You have a small window.
okay.
And then by November, they die back to the ground, and then next year they come up again.
Why do you put the like
Up.
this? Yeah.
That way they can stretch up and get more sun, and you can see up at the top, there's a lot more hops,
More taste,
more flowers.
more flower.
Yeah, if you let them grow on the ground, they don't produce as much.
Okay.
So they're a vine, they like to climb up, and you can see up at the top a lot more.
Okay, we finished the tour, but
Yeah.
this is the logo of the brewery.
Yes, he's our mascot. His name is Barkley, and he is a combination of a bear and a deer,
Okay.
which in English you combine bear and deer, and it's a beer.
Okay. We are very glad for your hospitality, and it's beautiful place. It's a wonderful brewery.
Thank you.
I can think what I say. Thank you.
Well, it's been my pleasure. I'm very glad you guys made the trip up. I know we're a little out of the way, a little far from San Francisco, but I'm glad you guys made it. Thank you for coming.
Cheers.